I need a modification to the agenda is presented to include the grants from the county, items 8 and 9, is it?
Make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have the minutes of the village board work session November 15th. Can I get a motion on that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any omissions or changes? Call a motion. All those in favor of approving the minutes of that work session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have the village board meeting of November 22nd, 2010. Can I get a motion to accept those board minutes, excuse me. Second?
Second.
Okay, any errors or omissions? Okay. All those in favor of approving the village board meeting of November 22nd minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the village board work session of December 6th, 2010.
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any errors or omissions? Okay, call a motion. All in favor?
I can't vote on this one, I wasn't here.
All right.
So you
And just for clarification, there may be omissions, but there's never any errors.
Never any errors?
That's what the village clerk told me to say.
Okay. Call the motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have the abstract of vouchers. Motion, bills as examined by the members of the board were approved in accordance with abstracts 2010-2011, number 16 and 17, check number 673 through 823 in the amount of $223,063.24. Need a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Items of business. We have a resolution, a bit wordy, to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with CJ Nestle Materials. Resolution, whereas pursuant to an order of consent issued by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation herein, the DEC, in 2001, the village of Goshen, hereinafter the village, was ordered and designed to construct a new wastewater treatment plant, herein the WWTP. To service the wastewater disposal needs of the village residents as well as the contract users of the WWTP. And whereas the construction of the new WWTP in the location recommended by the village consulting engineers resulted in the need to disturb a portion of an abandoned landfill that had previously served the village residents. Whereas in June of 2005, the DEC denied the village request to disturb only a portion of the abandoned landfill and advised the village that it's necessary to excavate the entire landfill, further advised the village that it would commence enforcement proceedings against the village regarding the landfill unless the village complied with the current landfill closure regulations. Whereas the village board in August of 2005 evaluated various alternatives regarding the closure of the landfill and determined that all potential alternatives were cost prohibitive and thereby elected with the DEC approval to excavate the landfill and temporary stockpile the landfill material, a more cost-effective method of disposal of the landfill material could be identified. And whereas the excavated material has now been stockpiled for a period of time in excess of the time allowed by the applicable DEC rules and regulations, whereas the village has engaged the services of Cornerstone Environmental Group, LLC, to again evaluate the potential alternatives for the disposition of the stockpiled material in view of the immediate need to dispose of said material in accordance with DEC regulations, and whereas Cornerstone Environmental has evaluated 11 different alternatives for the disposal of the stockpile material, which alternatives are set forth in the table annexed herein and made as Exhibit A, which is dated September 2009 and was last revised December 2nd, 2010, which table identifies the cost associated with various alternatives, and whereas the least expensive alternative for the disposal of the stockpile material, the beneficial reuse of the stockpile material, is deemed unlikely to occur by the village as no beneficial reuse for this material has been identified in the past 5.5 years since the need to excavate was first identified. And whereas six other alternatives identified as alternatives 1, 4A, 4B, 5A, 5B, and 5C on the attached table have either been eliminated as a potential alternatives by the DEC or determined to be physically impossible and or impractical by Cornerstone, and whereas the remaining alternatives identified in said table, which essentially consist of disposal of the stockpile material at an off-site commercial landfill, ranging cost from between $67 per ton and $75 per ton of material to be disposed of. And whereas the Village of Goshen has now received a proposal from C.J. Nesty Materials and Longhorn Transport, pursuant to which the entities propose to dispose of the stockpile material at Middlesex, New Jersey County Landfill, hereafter MCLF, for a cost which is substantially less than the other alternatives which have been identified and evaluated as the only remaining feasible alternatives by Cornerstone. And whereas the said proposal of C.J. Nesty and Longhorn is annexed herein and made part of this resolution as Exhibit B, and provides for the use of stockpile material as alternate daily cover, ADC, at the MCLF at the cost of $52.25 per ton of material to be disposed of. And whereas the said proposal of C.J. Nesty and Longhorn represents a substantial cost savings as compared to other alternatives that had been identified regarding the disposal of the material, and whereas the village recognizes that in addition to the fees for disposal of the stockpile material, fees for ongoing engineering and environmental monitoring at the site must also be incurred, notwithstanding the alternative selected. And whereas the next hereunto part of the hereof as Exhibit C is a proposed contract by and among the Village of Goshen, C.J. Nesty Materials, and Longhorn Transport, pursuant to which the village intends to engage the services of C.J. Nesty Materials and Longhorn Transport for the purpose of disposing of the stockpile material in accordance with the proposed annex herein and made part of thereof of Exhibit B, and pursuant to the terms of the contract annexed hereto and made part of Exhibit C. And whereas time is of the essence with regard to the matter, as the village must dispose of the material in accordance with law, and further, the village has been advised by the Office of the New York State Attorney General that it will be subject to an order of consent pursuant to which we will be required to move the stockpile material within a fixed period of time. Now, therefore, in order to be in compliance with all applicable rules, regulations, statutes, and ordinance, and to do so in the most cost-effective method on behalf of the village ratepayer, is hereby resolved that the mayor is authorized to affix his signature on the contract annex hereto and made part of thereof as Exhibit C to allow the work to begin pursuant to said contract immediately. All right. We'll need a motion to accept that.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, we'll need a roll call vote.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, discussion, sure.
We want to just, for public, just explain exactly what's going on and...
Go for it.
Sure, and maybe Art, if you want to jump in. Essentially, the stockpile that was moved out off 17M when they constructed the new wastewater treatment plant. In the village, it's been there since the construction. The Department of Environmental Conservation wants the village to move it. They want us to move it since day one. After X number of years, I know this board has been working since we came into office almost 2 years ago to find a home for this dirt. We found a place that is not as financially burdensome as the other options. This is the best cost savings that we can find. It's not going to be cheap, but out of all the options out there, this is the best one. And it's finally bringing a resolution to a problem that we've had for a number of years. And once we move this dirt, then we can begin marketing it and hopefully find a buyer, get that property back on the tax rolls. So I'm not sure, Art, if there's anything that I forgot to
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
I guess the only thing that we should also add for the record is that we have been in touch. Cornerstone has been in touch with the DEC, and we do have a correspondence from Stephen Parisio at the DEC approving the work and the work plan, subject to certain conditions, all of which are incorporated into the work plan and are obviously acceptable. We have to accept what they said, but they have approved the work. And also from the stormwater management people at the DEC, they've also approved work as well.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Well, I just wanted to thank
Sure.
Art for your hard work on this. I mean, no one from Cornerstone is here tonight, so I really wanted to thank them for all the hard work they put into the last year and helping us identify this alternative. And I think it's a great step forward. I mean, as far as I understand it, Art, correct me if I'm wrong, this is going to start basically this week. Or maybe early next week, but this is going to start.
Well, weather permitting, the contractor's actually ready to start tomorrow.
Contractors have been calling that
Third is leaving Goshen starting tomorrow.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll call the motion. We'll need a roll call vote. Mick?
Trustee Charles.
Aye.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Stewart.
Aye.
We have a resolution, the property tax cap must be included to mandate relief. This is to enforce a property tax cap. Should we read this whole thing, David?
Can you
Are you a little worn out now?
Can you basically just summarize what it is?
Oh,
Give us the highlights.
Well,
It's more than making a statement than anything else.
it's a statement that we're in favor of a property tax cap if and only if there's a repeal of current state mandates that require local government to increase spending in property taxes. Because there's a lot of talk about capping the property tax, which is all great. But if we are mandated by the state to increase spending, that's a little difficult for us to comply with the cap because there's no place, it's...
Where it comes from.
there's no place for that money to come from. So I think we all in concept, since we're all taxpayers, would appreciate a property tax cap. However, if the state's going to say to us, you have to continue, or your costs are going to go up, then how can we accommodate a property tax cap? So all we're saying is that we're certainly in favor of that, so long as it's accompanied by a repeal of the current state mandates that require us to increase spending in property taxes. Because that drives taxes up.
Is this something that other municipalities are doing?
This is what's being asked of virtually every municipality, from the, I believe, New York Conference of Mayors.
It makes sense. All the unfunded mandates that all municipalities get from the state, and then sort of initiate the tax cap, where are we going to pay for those, unfunded mandates? So
I understand.
it just does make a statement. I would be in favor of this.
okay, so then we'll need a person to make the motion on this resolution.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay. Call the motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we need a motion for Josh Bellick and Brian Ritchie to attend activated sludge wastewater treatment courses on January 31st and February 3rd at Morristown State College. Cost of training will be $500 per person plus the cost of mileage, food, and lodging. Need a motion on that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 I understand, they're both excellent employees, it's a huge asset to the village.
Okay, based on a review of the recommendations by Arthur Tully, PE, the village board hereby authorized the release of the landscaping bond in the amount of $6,370 for Village Place. Need a motion on that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those,
Where is Village Place?
Well, it's the old Carriage Park, which is the new apartment slash senior housing. Yeah.
yeah,
The only caveat... The McBride property now. Yeah, the
Right.
McBride's, right.
Okay.
Sorry, the only caveat with it is they still have a construction trailer there that I want them to remove, so I would recommend you proceed with the authorization, but let me give you a heads up before you actually release it, so I make sure they get that trailer out of there.
Okay.
And we still have a maintenance bond of $5,400 as well.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Need a motion, the village clerk Strobel is hereby authorized to attend New York State Conference of Mayors Village Election Workshop to be held January 6, 2011 in Fishkill, New York. The total cost for training is